Field of 68 after dark.
Happy Monday, all. Welcome to the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. Welcome to December as well. Hope everyone's Thanksgiving weekend went well. Alongside Rob Dauster, the former North Carolina great John Henson, I'm Sam Ravech. Turns out Feast Week was an appetizer, Rob, because the slate tomorrow, is the main course, right? It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than when you get into the meat of the college basketball season like this. We got a couple blue bloods facing off. We got UConn-Kansas, and we have Iowa playing Michigan State, kicking off the Big Ten calendar, Sam.
Yeah, that's what we call a tease in the TV industry, guys, because none of us had a better Thanksgiving than Iowa head coach Ben McCollum out in sunny Palm Springs, California. Take care of business against Ole Miss and Grand Canyon, move to 7-0 on the year, and he joins us now. Coach, really appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us. We know you got a huge one on deck tomorrow night in East Lansing. We'll get to that in just a second. I know you've coached quite a few of these players already, met some of them for years, but what have you learned about your team through the first month plus of the season?
Yeah, we've got pretty tough kids. We've got good talent, probably not great talent, but we've got enough, and our kids are tough, and they have something to prove. We've coached one guy for this would be 4 years, and then the rest have only been for 1 year. And then obviously the current guys that we just recruited have been for 5-6 months, and so their ability to mesh together very quickly, and their ability to win with some of their toughness and edginess has been really refreshing for us. I wouldn't have thought that during the summer. It was kind of a work in progress, but we're getting better every day, and certainly love the group.
Coach, your teams are known for, togetherness, discipline. How year after year, level after level, you keep infusing that into your team, in this new age where you just don't keep guys time after time every year?
We get the right kids. That's probably the number one thing. I think any good coach that is in the profession for a long time will tell you they're really not that good a coach. It's usually the players that they coach first and foremost, and then just loving on them and serving them. And generally there's a level of loyalty. I do think loyalty is still a thing, to a certain level. I think from people to people, person to person, especially with the players in particular, they go to play for a particular coach, and that's who they want to stick with. And so if you treat them good, then eventually they'll hopefully stay with you. And we've had that at Division II, and obviously from Drake to Iowa now, and all those kids have stuck with us. And shoot, I think I got 4 or 5 former players on staff even. And so, that's just kind of how we've always done it, and it seems to work, and hopefully it'll work at this level as well.
Yeah, and I think Bennett Sturts is the perfect example of that, right? There's been 2 times now where he has decided not to kind of go and maybe chase the biggest bag or the highest dollar figure, create a bidding war, and decided to follow you from Northwest Missouri State to Drake, and then from Drake to Iowa. He even probably had a chance to be a first-round pick, maybe a top 40 pick if he decided to enter the NBA draft last year. How important was it for you to get him? Because I don't know if there's a better match between player and coach than you and Bennett Sturts.
Yeah, pretty lucky. No, it's again, it makes me look like I can coach a little bit, right? No, we prior to even Bennett, we've had another point guard that was a two-way for a little while. Now he's playing professionally. Trevor Hudgens. Before that, we had a kid named Justin Pitts. Before that, Deshaun Cooper. And so we had a lot of really good point guards at Northwest. And ironically, Bennett was the only one of those point guards that was second team all league and not MVP of the Division II league that we were in. He was actually second team all conference the year before he went to Drake. Fast forward to Drake, and he's continuing to improve, and then he was obviously the player of the year, led the league in points, I think assists and steals, and worked his way into a draft pick. But he a potential draft pick, but he is continues to get better. He's extremely humble. And then, he's pretty loyal, and he understands that, the program's given him a lot, and he's given a lot to us, and, he wants to see that through. And also, I think he loves college basketball. I think he just enjoys the atmosphere. He's probably going to
We
enjoy
love
Michigan
having him here,
State's
man.
game
Keep him
tomorrow.
around forever. Go sue somebody to be
Man,
able to get him
can
back
I?
for another year.
I would love to. I would love to coach him forever, but unfortunately, I think this might be my last year with him. So he'll be fired up tomorrow, hopefully, and it'll be a fun atmosphere, fun game.
Coach, a lot of people kind of became familiar with Bennett last year, like we've already talked about. He's been great once again. I think a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar with Alvaro Fulgaris yet, coming off the bench for you guys, coming over from Robert Morris. Second on the team in scoring. What's he brought to the table for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's a different weapon because he can really pass. And obviously, I think he's shooting over 40% from three. He rebounds at a high level, can guard multiple positions. He's just scratched the surface. I think in a lot of programs, talent wins out, and he's really talented and a great kid and works hard and all those things. Sometimes in our system, it just takes a little time to figure out the system essentially, and he has done that very, very quickly. I think he's one of the top 10 players in efficiency in the country. He's going to need to be big for us tomorrow night as well, just to be able to stretch those bigs out and be able to score at the rim some too. So he's been great for us this year.
Coach, I'm going to piggyback on that. Your matchup tomorrow, I saw Michigan State down here in Fort Myers. Tough team. What do you think it's going to take for your team to knock them guys off their pedestal right now? They're playing well.
I mean, we probably got to suit you up to be able to guard some of them bigs. I don't know. That's probably would help us. No, I mean, you gotta match their toughness. I mean, they're a tough team. They're shockingly physical.
Yeah,
and
sure.
so you've got to be able to match that, and then you got to withstand the big runs. You got to handle the environment. You got to handle a lot of different things and try to impose your will on the game, which is really difficult to do. So, hopefully those are things that we're ready to do. Hopefully we can, fight and compete and see what happens.
Yeah, the Big Ten scheduling gods did not do you any favors. All due respect to the teams you've played, 7-0, good start, Ole Miss, Xavier, play some good teams, Grand Canyon. But welcome to Big Ten play. You go on the road, first game you got in the league at the Breslin Center. How do you kind of keep this momentum going as you get into the meat grinder part of your schedule?
Yeah, I mean, you just keep getting better. I'm pretty process focused anyway, meaning I don't really, I don't know, wins and losses, they obviously are exciting and whatnot for everybody, but I don't really focus on those. It's really just trying to get better every day. And I think that genuinely helps us handle ebbs and flows, whether it's positives or negatives throughout a season that you're just trying to improve. And I don't know what better place to play. Like, where else would you rather go for the first game other than to go to the conference champs? I mean, there's nothing better. Just, I guess baptism by fire. So, we'll go in there and see what happens. But no, I'm again, our guys are excited. I'm excited. Hopefully we keep the momentum regardless of tomorrow, because this is going to be a big challenge, and it'll certainly help us down the road, to learn from it.
Yeah, you want to be the best, got to beat the best, Coach. We really appreciate you taking the time the night before the big one. We'll be watching tomorrow. Best of luck.
Absolutely.
Coach.
Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate you, man.
Super awesome to hear him talk about his vision, man.
Cool.
I mean, by the way, Henson, the man has lost 4 games as a Division I coach. He's 38-4, and somehow, that's even better than his 81% winning percentage as a D2 coach. And he was 395 and 91 at the Division II level. He just wins everywhere he goes, Rob. Right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. He's a great coach, and I love that he just said baptism by fire. Like, where else would you want to be going into the Big Ten than walking into the Breslin Center? Like, Henson, you got to be a certain kind of crazy to say, you know what? I want Tom Izzo in front of 15,000 fans in East Lansing to start my Big Ten tenure. I love it, man. How could you not want to play for a guy like that?
I honestly sat there and I was like, like when I hear coaches talking, their demeanor, like that's a guy that I would be excited to play for, especially when he said like, we're not about wins and losses, we're process oriented. Like, it gave me chills. Like I love that. Like that's a coach. That's a ball coach, right? Like, hey, look, we're not concerned.
Mhm.
If we do what we need to do, right? We should have the outcome should be what we wanted. If it's not, we can get better. And I think not putting that type of pressure on kids as well. I mean, the record speaks for itself. I think they're going to have some big wins this year because how they play is kind of like death by 1,000 cuts. Like you got to have to guard and you're going to have to be aware. It's a read and react system, and you can't get bored playing defense, which some teams do. So I'm excited for that game. This will be their first kind of real test. And I think Michigan's kind of peak value right now. So I think there's a chance Iowa could go in there and do something.
Yeah, and Coach McCollum, too, makes his Big Ten debut, like we already talked about. This is also the first game he's ever coached against a Big Ten opponent. That'll be 7 p.m. tomorrow night on Peacock. Guys, we have got a ton to get to. As we mentioned, the slate tomorrow is absolutely bonkers. We have got ranked on ranked matchups left and right. ACC SEC Challenge is getting underway as well. It is Monday. We've got some overreactions to dissect also. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. Henson, we'll let you think about this one when we go to break. We have a overreaction here that says the state of Michigan runs college basketball this year. The Tar Heel State might have something to say about that. We'll dissect that and more when we come back.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Dauster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 on 3. Get the scoop.
Are you trying to follow everything happening in college basketball? It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for recruiting news, game analysis, portal updates, and much, much more. For just $50 a year, you get access to the same information that your favorite coaching staff is subscribed to. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help. Make sure you subscribe today.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM, which, speaking of our wonderful sponsor, Missouri Today is your lucky day, because if you are a Missouri resident and you pull up that BetMGM Sportsbook on your app, you can place a bet. And if you do live in the Show Me State and you don't have the BetMGM app, go and sign up ASAP, because tomorrow's games we got coming up, you're going to want to have that nice and handy for you. So before we get to tomorrow's games, we got to handle some of our overreactions here on this Monday. I already mentioned one earlier. So Henson, I'm coming right to you on this. Is it an overreaction or a proper reaction to say that the state of Michigan runs college basketball this season?
I wouldn't call it an overreaction, but I mean, right now, Michigan State and Michigan probably have been the most impressive in just reference to quad one wins, the big time wins, beating good teams. So I'm not going to say it's they got it right now. Let's just call it what it is. But it's early. So Michigan State's got a big game tomorrow, to validate all those wins. And obviously Michigan is just rolling right now. They've got the best defense in the country. I think they got a top 10 offense as well, or maybe top 15. So yeah, I don't know if it's an overreaction that Michigan runs this, but it's a solid statement. We'll call it that.
Rob, let me rephrase this to you. Using the transitive property here, if the state of Michigan runs college basketball this year, therefore the national championship runs through the state of Michigan, right? So would it phrase that way be an overreaction?
Look, if we're going by what our good friends over at BetMGM believe, Michigan is now the favorite to win the national championship, and Michigan State is not all that far behind. I personally think that Michigan right now is the best team in college basketball, but I think that it's close enough where there's going to be a run where the threes don't go down the way that they went down to Las Vegas, and then maybe we're going to say Purdue is. Maybe we're going to say Duke is again. Maybe we're going to see a run where UConn looks like the best team. Maybe there's going to be a stretch where Iowa State and Arizona are back up on the top of the sport. So I do believe that if we're talking about the two best teams from a state, it's probably Michigan. But I said this before, and I don't know if you guys agree with me on this, but I think that there are more elite teams in college basketball this year than I've ever seen before, right? Last year, we had 4 teams that were about as good as any 4 teams that I can remember seeing in the sport. I would say Duke last year. I know they didn't win the title, and you can yell at me if you want. I think that Duke team was the best team that I've seen overall.
Agreed.
Since I've
I'm
been
with
doing
you.
this.
Yeah.
And I think the top 4 was the best top 4 I've ever seen. I don't know if we have anybody as good as that top 4 this year. Maybe it's Michigan, maybe not. Michigan might be close. But I think that the top 15 this season is the best, like top 15, 16, 17 that I've ever seen. And normally you get to like December and you could start saying like, oh man, look, there's 8 or 9 teams that actually have a real chance to be able to win this. Maybe it's 6 or 7, maybe it's 5 or 6, whatever it is. I think that there's like 12 or 13 teams that legitimately have a chance to win a national championship. And there's probably 16, 17, or 18 that legitimately have a real shot to get to the Final Four. That's how deep it is. That's how good the top of college basketball is. And to me, that's kind of what I took away from Feast Week is there's a lot of really, really good teams. And it just so happens that Michigan might be the best. And I don't know if there's 5 teams that are better than Michigan State this year. So I don't know if that means that the state of Michigan runs college basketball, Henson, but I think that those top 2 teams are right there in the mix to be able to win it all.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. And I mean, we're going to talk about our biggest takeaways of college basketball, but that's what I'm going to discuss is like, as you're looking down the list, it's like, there's so many teams that could win it, man. And like, I saw Michigan State up live in the flesh, and I'm looking at, they're 10th in the net, they're 17th in Ken Palm. That's not right to me. Just for the team I saw, that's not right, right? And so that's a team that's sitting outside the top 10. Like, so that could, I think, has a chance to make it far in the tournament, make a Final Four run. We know what Tom Izzo does in the postseason. He makes a run. He knows what he's doing. So, you're just looking at a team that's sitting in the mid-teens that you're like, okay, they could make a run too. So definitely Michigan is on the map right now for college basketball, but in general, man, it's so wide open, man. It's going to be an exciting year.
Henson, you know what stood out to me more than anything else with Michigan State? I saw him at the Champions Classic in person, and it is the way that Jeremy Fears controls everything else that is happening on the court, right? Like Izzo's compared him to Mateen Cleaves, which I think in the world of Tom Izzo is the highest compliment that you could pay somebody, is comparing a point guard to Mateen Cleaves. And it's the way he defends. He never gets sped up. He's able to get the ball where it needs to go. I think he had 19 and 7 against North Carolina. He had like 13 assists when I saw him against Kentucky. I don't know if he's the best NBA prospect at the point guard spot, but I don't know if there are 5 guys in college basketball that can run a team better than Jeremy Fears runs a team for Michigan State.
Listen, and he's a troll. He's a troll. He was out there jawing around a little bit, getting after Luka. Luka, and a foreign guy, he was kind of talking to him, looking at him, sizing him up, like he was a guy that was the engine on that team, and he kind of sealed the game with some of the shots he was hitting, and I was highly impressed with him in person. And then just how they warm up, how they have the juice in the warm ups, they dunking the ball, yelling and screaming and stuff, man. I was highly impressed with this Michigan State team. I will say so. To say that, along with Michigan, hopefully during the year they keep doing what they're doing, and we get to see a massive matchup for that game.
Speaking of that game, by the way, Michigan's probably going to be favored in every game that they play, at least up until that Michigan State game. It'll be inside the Breslin Center, January 30th. The tickets for that game today are selling for $330. Get in, $330. That is
You gotta wait.
absurd. If we are December 1.
Gotta wait for a loss. Gotta wait for them to lose. It'll go down. You know how it goes.
Man, I don't know. I mean, by the way, real quick before we move on, that matchup, like, what do we make of we're previewing a game that's two plus months away? But what do like? How do these two teams size up against each other? Because they play different styles.
Bring your shoulder pads. You need your shoulder pads for that game because that's going to be an all-out war. We know how physical Michigan State is, and I think that this is the first time in a long time where you can say Michigan might be the more physical team than Michigan State. That is going to bring your big boy pants, get your shoulder pads on, make sure you got the thigh pads on. You probably need a helmet. You definitely need a mouth guard. No, somebody is leaving with a broken bone and bloodied. That's all I know about that matchup. There will be blood on the floor.
Listen, Kalen Lucas, I remember Kalen Lucas driving to the basket. He elbowed me trying to lay it up. My tooth went through my lip. That's what type of ball they play, man. That's just the physical nature of it. So I don't miss the Michigan State games. We beat them, but we did not leave the battlefield unscathed. I'll tell you that.
Wasn't that?
That's
you were on the boat,
ice.
Right? Was that when you were on the ship?
We played them the year before when they had Kalen Lucas in the Chapel Hill. Then we played on a boat the next year with Draymond and Adrian Payne, and that was the most physical game I've ever been a part of. I'm talking about NBA game, not even close. So good luck to the guys playing Michigan. I wanted to tell Coach McCollum, like, hey, go tell your guys, like, look, just get your mind right. Because I don't know if Carolina was ready for that. Like, you can talk about it, but to really be in the field and feel it, it's a whole different ball game. Visar struggled. He got a couple fouls early, and so that's the biggest thing I would say. If you're going to play Michigan State, just get your mind right. Right? You understand it's physical. It's going to hurt. It's going to be hard. If you're not ready for that, you're going to take an L.
I think that's literally the best thing that you could say to Tom Izzo. Like, he would never be prouder than if you said, if you play your team, it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt. Yeah, it's okay though. Listen, you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to be a little banged up, but hey, look, hopefully you got the W. You'll heal. You know what I'm saying? You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's going to hurt mentally, emotionally, physically when you're playing Michigan State. Michigan had some question marks early on, but they absolved themselves of all wrongdoing thanks to the beatdown that they put on in Vegas. The reigning national champs had some question marks early on as well, but it doesn't seem like the general consensus of many fans out there believe that the Gators have answered many of those questions yet. Rob, overreaction or proper reaction? Florida will be on the bubble come March.
I think that is a little bit of an overreaction. I don't think they were as good as we thought they were going to be. But look, Tommy Hawk he's playing like an All-American right now and a potential lottery pick, if not just a first-round pick. We know how good Alex Condon can be. They got size. Ruben Chinielo's averaging double-double. What it's going to come down to, and this sounds really simplistic, but Xavier Lee right now is shooting 21% from three. Boogie Fland is shooting 24% from three. They have no chance to be as good as we thought they were going to be. They have no chance. If those two shoot that percentage throughout the entire season, then they will be bubble teams. But Boogie Fland is better than that. Xavier Lee finally got it going in the second half against Providence on, what was that, Friday afternoon, that he started making some shots. He had one move where he said someone with a punch dribble, and he absolutely floored him and then made a three, and that kind of got him going a little bit. Those two need confidence. They have to make shots. If they don't make shots, Florida's in a lot of trouble. But if they are making shots and they are be able to create off the bounce a little bit, you have enough in that front line, you have enough offensive rebounding, you have enough star power that they will be good enough to be in the mix. Probably like top 4, top 5 in the SEC instead of competing for an SEC championship. But they're good enough that they'll be as long as the guards are living up to their potential, they'll be like a top 20-ish kind of a team this season to me.
Yeah, I'd have to say that's overreaction. I think with the roster, the experience, the pedigree, I can't see this team being on the bubble. Yeah, maybe not a high seed or a seed we expect the Gators to have, but with Lee and Flan and those big boys down there, I can't see that being a bubble roster. If that's a bubble roster, then Rob's more than 100% right that this is the most deep field of teams we've ever seen. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's overreaction. Florida will not be on the bubble.
Yeah, Rob, real quick. It seems like some of those things are fixable, like you're talking about, or at least they can improve. They're shooting 28% from three. We know they have players that can make threes. So like that's something that, if I'm Todd Golden, I'm like, all right, yeah, we can probably turn it around. The other thing is also, I think, probably controllable. And that's the fact that they're turning it over on a fifth of their offensive possessions this year. Right. So like I think that should be controllable. But if you're telling me those stats are going to remain the same, to your point, this is going to be a bubble team. If I'm a Florida team, I'm cautiously optimistic, because also if I'm going to look like my worst, I want to do it in November and December. I'd rather be at my best in February and March, right?
Yeah, and look, it is an adjustment going from the Ivy League to the SEC, right? Like that is
No
not an
doubt.
easy step up to make. And Xavier Lee, the first game he comes in, he's playing against Arizona, and Arizona is as big and as physical and as tough defensively as anybody in the sport. And you get off to a rough start, and it just never gets better. To me, it kind of looks like a confidence issue with him right now, because I don't think he's getting bad shots. The shots that he's taking are just not going in. And Boogie Flan dealt with I think he had the sports hernia. So he's still, during the offseason, he had surgery to recover from it. So he's still trying to get back into his best. So there's reasons for me to buy into the idea that right now, if you're buying on Florida, you're buying low. Turnover issues are going to be fixed with Alex Condon getting a little bit better about protecting the ball, and the backcourt being able to create stuff, not just for themselves, but for other people. But the one concern I have is that the idea with this team was you built it around the concept of having two of the best off the dribble shot makers in college basketball last season, in Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee, and then three guys in the front court that are just elite offensive rebounders, right? And being able to say, well, we're going to let these guys go and do what they do on the perimeter, and then we're going to go and get the misses and clean it up. And there's going to be enough in between all of that for us to be able to figure out and compete. The off the dribble jumpers are not going down. The shooters are not making shots. So if that doesn't solve itself, then this conversation is just a non-starter. So, and the flip side of it is, we finally saw those guys start making some shots against Providence. And what do you get next? Oh, you get a trip to Cameron Indoor Stadium to boost your confidence. Yeah, right. Oh, you get to go play UConn in the Garden to boost your confidence. Like it's feast or famine for those guys right now. So it's you better figure it out, man, because it's not getting any easier after playing TCU and Providence.
Very true.
Henson, has anything showed you that this team is capable of repeating as national champions? Like, have you looked at any offensive set, defensive set at any point this season? Has Florida looked like, yeah, we can repeat as national champions to you?
Not close to repeating, especially with how deep this field is this year. It's not very top heavy. I mean, it's going to be one of those years where, that 1-8 game, like that could be Florida, right? Like playing against a 1 seed, like you could have to see a team like that. So they haven't done anything to make me believe they can win a championship, but I think right now they are improving. I think Lee's just trying to figure out how to play at this level. He showed us flashes of what he could be and how effective he could be against Providence. And even with Flan, he was injured. He's trying to get his rhythm back. And college doesn't have the G League, or you can play, like, it's just not that. So he's trying to work his way back while he's playing. But they're not a championship team, but they'll be fine. I think they'll be in the mix. They'll be maybe a mid seed and probably a tough out.
It's so easy to just kind of gloss over the fact that you lose a first round pick and an first team All-American in Walter Clayton, one of the best, like, tough shot makers. His run in the tournament last year was like legendary stuff. Some of the shots that he made. Will Richard is playing like 20 minutes a game for the Warriors, and Elijah Martin was a linebacker playing the 2-guard spot that can get you 25 on any given night, and one of the best on-ball defenders you're going to find. Like, that is as good of a backcourt as you will ever find in college basketball in this day and age. And you just can't go out in the portal and replace them in 1 year by getting a couple of guys, right? Like, just it's very easy for us to gloss over how good that backcourt was while saying, well, and that, I don't think that's a shot at Boogie Flanders, Avian Lee, but that backcourt was all-time stuff. And it's not easy to replace all-time good backcourts.
Agreed. All right, let's jump to the Big 12 here. Iowa State and TJ Otzelberger look like they got them another one this year. 7-0, one of 4 undefeateds remaining in that conference right now. They've been one of the best teams since he's taken over there, but they have yet to do one thing, and that is win the regular season title in the Big 12. So, Henson, is this an overreaction to say that Iowa State will win the Big 12 this season? They did win the tournament. I believe that was in 24, but the regular season title on that.
It's another tough one. I think that's overreaction. You got Houston and Arizona. I think those are 2 teams that are going to maybe halt that. I even like Arizona as a favorite right now, with Houston kind of showing some kind of flaws with the young team they have. They got to figure some things out. But with Houston and Arizona, I'm going to say that's an overreaction, but I do love what they have this year, and maybe they can, if they stay healthy. I think Lipsey's hurt, so they have to stay healthy as well. But Houston and Arizona are not going to be teams easy to kind of just knock off the pedestal. So I'm going to go that's an overreaction.
I don't know if it's necessarily an overreaction, because I do think that they are significantly, I don't want to say significantly, but they are better than I thought they were going to be coming into this season. Joshua Jefferson has been unbelievable, man. He's averaging 18 points, 8 boards, and 5 assists. Like, that dude he's been one of the 5 to 10 best players in college basketball this season.
He's going to be a pro too. He's going to be good. He's going to be an NBA career. He's going to have an NBA career.
Yeah. He'll play like 10 years as like the 6th to 8th man at a bunch of different places.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to look up in 2038 and be like, oh, Josh Jefferson is still in the NBA. He's still on a roster somewhere. He's going to be one of those dudes. I think that they can win the Big 12. I am never, ever, ever going to count out Kelvin Sampson. We did the same shit last year, guys. Remember, they went 4-3 in their first 7 games. They went 1-2 in the Players era. Or like, oh, what is Kelvin Sampson doing? Has he figured it out? Has he lost the mojo? Is he too old? Has time passed him by? And then after the Players era festival, they literally lost 2 more games. One of them was in overtime to Texas Tech, who was an Elite 8 team, and one of them was in the actual national championship game. I'm never betting against Houston. Houston could have lost their first 8 games of the season. I'm still saying Houston's going to end up winning the Big 12. They've earned that right. I think Iowa State is also right there. I think Arizona is also right there. And I'm not going to count out Kansas with Darren Peterson coming back and the way that they've been playing the last week and a half coming out of Vegas. Yeah. Iowa State deserves to be a favorite. I would not call them the favorite. Calling them the favorite is probably an overreaction, but they're right there with Houston and Arizona and BYU and Kansas and the rest of the teams at the top of the Big 12. And I don't know about you guys. I did not have them that high heading into the season.
The one thing that's impressed me, we know the defense is always going to be good. Most teams today just don't have any starters from last year returning. This team has 3, and that's showing. Lipsey, Momcilovic, and Jefferson. They're all averaging more than 17 points per game. If they could all stay healthy, that's something you can't predict. That was kind of maybe the Achilles heel for this team. In January, February last year, they took some hits, but they finished 15th in the country last year in turnovers forced per game. We thought that was good. They're forcing like 18.5 turnovers a game this year through the first 7. Now, that's going to maybe be a regression to the mean type of stat, but that's 5th in the country. We've mentioned some other big 12 teams here. I want to ask this question because we talked about Florida as well. Houston, Florida, St. John's is the other one. 3 top 5 teams in the AP poll have all shown some flaws this year. Is there a concern that you have of one more than the other there, since we've already mentioned Houston and Florida?
If we mentioned Houston,
you're not counting out Houston, right? So forget it. They're good. So it's got to be St. John's or Florida for you.
I'm worried about both of them. Henson, I don't know about you, but I'm worried about both of them. Florida, it's the guards are not adjusting to this the to change the transfer as well as I thought they would and hoped that they would. And then with St. John's, like, you can't guard the way that they've been guarding as a Rick Pitino team and be expected to be a national championship contender because they're not good enough offensively. They have very real questions at the point guard spot. Not just on the offensive end either. Like, they're not able to stop anybody. Teams can get wherever they want. They gave up 82 to Iowa State. I think they were giving up an average of 90.3 points to the three best opponents in the three losses that they had, and they gave up 81 in a win against the Baylor team that they were much more physical than. Very real questions and very real concerns about them on the defensive end of the floor. And when you combine that with not having a point guard, they're going to be good. Like, they're still a Sweet 16 kind of a team. They're still good enough to be able to, if they can take care of business at home, especially against UConn in the Big East, they have a chance to be able to win that conference. I'm not saying they're not going to do that, but this is not there were outlets that had them as a preseason number one team in the country. And I don't think that this St. John's team is that.
Yeah, and I agree. I last year when you saw what they did, I mean, they'd be down 12 and you like blink your eye and they'd be up 10 and the team hadn't scored in 15 minutes. Like, that's how they won games. And then, a couple threes fall, you're down 30, right? And so that was kind of their identity. They've kind of gotten away from that, and they're not going to outscore teams. As Rob said, their point guard situation is kind of sketchy. Coach Pitino's plugging and playing, trying to figure out a lineup that works early. So, yeah, I'm concerned about them. They'll be fine because of who they have, what they are. I mean, they're going to be tough to beat on any given night. But for them to be consistently a winning program this year at least and advance in the tournament, I think they're going to come up against a team where they're not going to guard well enough, and they don't have the offensive firepower like a Alabama to, okay, well, if we ain't going to guard, we're going to put the ball in the hole. And I think that will be their downfall.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. They don't get easy shots, right? Like, they have a lot of guys that can go out and create something. And I think, like, Bryce Hopkins might be one of the most difficult covers in college basketball because of how athletic he is and because of the way that he can kind of, like, he does this move where he'll cross you over and he'll come to a jump stop and he'll put his shoulder in your chest, and it just, everyone he's guarding, it knocks them back like 5 feet. He is so strong and so physical. And Zuby Ejiofor is a lot of the same stuff. But when those guys are asked to create, it becomes a pretty difficult shot. Like, they don't get a lot of easy stuff. They don't get a lot of wide open catch and shoot threes. And to me, that is what's going to end up being their Achilles heel, because there's going to be a night when they run into somebody that is able to take away a lot of that stuff. And a lot of those tough shots are not going to fall. There's maybe a little bit too much length, and they can't win on the defensive end, and they're not physical enough, or they're not skilled enough to be able to create the easy shots to let them go out and beat an Alabama. They lost to Alabama 103-96. And that, to me, right there kind of sums up the issue with this St. John's team. They don't quite have an identity yet, in my opinion.
Right. We'll have some more Big East conversation in just a second. It is hard to believe we're already 1 month through the college basketball season here. We've got some of the best non-conference head-to-head matchups coming up tomorrow. We'll get to those as well. But I want to know what your biggest takeaways have been 1 month into the season, Henson. We can start with you because you teased it a little bit earlier. But what's been your biggest takeaway so far this year?
Yeah, I wrote it down earlier. I said the depth of how good these teams are when you look like 1 through 20, 1 through 15. Like I said, Michigan State, I saw them in person. I don't think that's a 17th ranked team. Carolina's really good. Now, they don't have much depth, but that top 5 with Visar is a plus 38 when he's on the floor. So -6 when he's off. So that's another team that I think is being a little bit discounted. They did lose to Michigan State. And in Kentucky, like, Kentucky's really good. These are teams that no one's even talking about, right? We've got our top tier teams that are the Dukes, right? BYUs, those type things. And so, yeah, I think this is probably the first year where, Rob said it, there's 15 teams that they can make a run. And, you might look up and a 4 seed has lifted a trophy.
Yeah, that's it's not just that there's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good teams that are playing a really entertaining style of basketball, right? They're spacing it out. They're getting up and down the floor. They're shooting a lot of threes. They're thriving in transition. I think that the overarching takeaway to me about college basketball this year is that it is, in terms of the talent of play and the caliber of play, it's the best that I've ever seen it. You have these unbelievable freshmen coming in. You have all of these like European, air quotes here, freshmen coming in that are 22 years old and listed as freshmen with 2 years of eligibility left. The access to NIL has kept guys like Yaxel Lendenberg and LeBaron Filan and Bennett Sturts and all of these potential NBA draft picks in college basketball. 8 years ago, if you were able to get an Exhibit 10, you were gone, right? If you were listed as a top 100 NBA draft prospect, it didn't matter if you were going to get drafted. You were gone. If you were able to go get a $100,000 contract playing in Slovenia, you were gone because you only had that limited window to be able to make money. Well, now the most money that you can make is playing college basketball. It's the best U23 league in the entire world. And, oh, by the way, you could probably make 7 figures if you're good enough to be a starter at a power conference team. And we can talk about whether or not that is good for the college athletics part of this, whether that's good for what the sport is long term. But right now, in this moment, the quality of basketball that we are able to watch is better than I think anything that I've seen since I've been able to do this. Like the shots that you're able to make, the stuff that you're able to run, how fast you can kind of play in transition. It's just it's so much fun to watch these really big games. And oh, by the way, I think this has been like the best non-conference schedule that we have ever seen. Like it feels like every night there's a top 20 matchup going on. Tomorrow, look at the slate tomorrow night. We got the national champions going and playing at Duke. We got 7-0 Iowa playing at Michigan State. We got UConn going on the road to play at Kansas. And by the way, I think there's a good chance that Darren Peterson ends up playing in that game. And we have what might be the 4th best game of the night, North Carolina playing at Kentucky. And this is a random Tuesday in early December. And that's not even the best day of college basketball that we've had this season. The start of this year has been so much fun. And I think it's going to set us up for a terrific college basketball season.
Just play that as a hype video.
Mic drop
24/7. Yeah, put it on a loop.
You know what I'm saying? Put that up. Do what you
put it on
do.
a loop. I couldn't decide on one big takeaway. So what I decided to do is just go through each of the Power 5 conferences in 10 words or less. So I want you guys to tell me where I'm wrong here. Okay. All right. The Big Ten is the best. The Big Ten is the best conference. The Big 12 is the deepest conference. The ACC is better than last year. The SEC is worse than last year. The Big East is the weakest of them all.
I agree with all of it.
Yeah,
you got it all. I think you went a little too soft on the Big East, though. The weakest of them all, like that's a little bit too nice. Like the Big East might be trash. Like if Seton Hall regresses, right? If Seton Hall and Butler aren't as good as they've looked early on this season, this is going to be a 2-bid league.
Wow, that's it, Rob. 2 bids.
Yeah, welcome to life on the other side, Big East. You know what I'm saying? ACC's kind of trying to get back right. Leave us alone, man. But it's that. I think everything you said was valid. So no complaints.
You just cooked, man. You just cooked.
All right, very good, easy. All right, no ranked matchups on the docket tonight. But as my good friend Reese Davis always says, is if you are not good enough, a loss will find you. And Kansas State, you got found today. We'll talk about that in just a second. UConn trying to do something it's never done before, Rob. That is beat the Kansas Jayhawks, although they've only played 4 times. Plus, the ACC-SEC Challenge begins in earnest as well. We'll preview it all coming up after this.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app. You sign up using bonus code FIELD. You deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Dauster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 on 3. Get the scoop.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. Here with Rob Dauster, John Henson. I'm Sam Ravech. Guys, turns out, like we said, Feast Week was just the appetizer for the main course that's tipping off tomorrow, because we have got ranked on ranked matchups here. I got to give a hat tip to my guy Gary Parrish really quickly, because he brought this up. But tomorrow, there are 3 games pitting 6 schools against each other that are responsible for 16 of the last 21 national championships. And it is insane. And it starts with number 15 Florida, defending national champs, inside Cameron Indoor to take on number 4 Duke. A matchup, by the way, that a lot of Duke fans hoped would be last year's national championship game. 7:30 Eastern time on ESPN. The line over at BetMGM is, I think, 8.5 Duke, the favorites in this one. Rob, I'll let you kick it off. Your thoughts on this heavyweight battle inside Cameron Indoor?
You made friends with all the Duke fans, reminding them about the way the last season ended and saying that you should have been playing them in the national championship game. Henson, by the way, one of my favorite moments on the Field of 68 was when Duke blew that lead. Henson just sitting there in the crowd in front of the Duke fans, taking selfies with them in the background, being like, "Woo!"
Listen. There was a couple of fans behind us. I mean, they were in shambles. And I just, the Duke wasn't ready for the moment, unfortunately.
You had to let them know. Listen, I do think that the one thing that Duke has going for it more than anything else is the size across their perimeter. And I understand how big their front court is. I understand how many bodies they have to be able to throw at Cam Boozer. I think that you have to double Cam Boozer, or you're going to be in a lot of trouble dealing with Cam Boozer. And I don't know how, with the size that the Blue Devils guards have, how they're going to be able to, Florida's going to be able to score against them. I think that Duke covers here. I also tend to lean towards the under. I think that Duke's defense is going to find a way to be able to win out. I don't know what Florida's going to do to try to slow down Cam Boozer, but I think that Duke finds a way to be able to cover here. I think that this is a very big ask when you have a couple of backcourt players that have been struggling a little bit to go into Cameron Indoor Stadium and find a way to be able to beat this Duke team as good as they've been.
I am actually going to fade the Blue Devils. There's a lot of points. That's a lot of points for a team that has 3 bigs. So you're only getting 1 shot, right? I love the under call by you, but you're only getting 1 shot. You're getting 1 possession. And I think from a value perspective, Florida is probably low and Duke is probably at their peak. So I would actually take the 8.5 with Florida and Cameron Indoor. Just off the strength, I think Florida has a size, the experience. Yes, the guard play, the perimeter is going to be somewhat scary if I'm on the other side, but they only got 3 guys averaging double figures: Evans, Big Fella, and Boozer. So I'm not too worried about the perimeter firepower, and I think the bigs are going to be able to hold their own.
I love how you said Evans, Big Fella, and Boozer.
I can't say his name.
The fact that you can't say his name.
How you say it?
Ngangba.
and got Pat. I'm calling Big Pat.
Big Pat. There you go, Big Pat. Here's my concern, and I like the under more than I like Duke covering. A big spread when you like the under is a little bit risky to me. So I like the
points.
under.
Come on, Rob. 10 points. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Here's the thing that concerns me. Duke is the number one defensive field goal percentage defense in America, and they are top 70 in turnover rate. They force turnovers on 20% of their possessions. And Florida turns the ball over on more than 19% of their possessions and has not been able to make shots this season. I think this is a really tough spot for Florida and what they do offensively.
Give me Cheney Lou and 5 fouls every day of the week.
Fair enough.
I have Boozer going. Listen, man. Listen. Cheney Lou's a guy. Big Boozer's going. Bully ball, but give me Cheney Lou with 5 fouls. I think it's going to be a tougher night than most people think.
I'll take Duke to cover. So I think they're going to have a good game. By the way, do we know if Condon is available in this game? I know he was out with the face deal. I assume he's going to be playing. I think it was just precautionary. Last time I checked.
I believe he will.
If Condon isn't playing, call me back. Let's have another discussion. But right now, I'll take the points.
Yeah. This is going to be a different matchup. All due respect to Arkansas's front court, this is a different matchup for Boozer, like you guys have mentioned. So if there's anywhere Florida can neutralize an opponent, that they would be there. Real quick on this before we move on to UConn-Kansas. Duke was one of the 2 ACC teams that won a game in the ACC-SEC Challenge last year. Henson, do we think that'll turn around this year? It was 14-2 last year.
Oh, it'll be much better this year.
Yeah, it'll be much better this year. It can't go anywhere without.
All right, that was.
Listen, listen. The good thing about being at the bottom, you got the foundation to build up, baby. Come on, we're good.
that was tough, man. Last year was brutal. All right, UConn Huskies have accomplished what many programs can only dream of under Danny Hurley. Back-to-back Natties, Big East regular season and tournament champs, Coach of the Year awards, yada yada yada. There's one thing they have not accomplished as a program, and that is beating the Kansas Jayhawks. Small sample size, just 4 meetings all time, but nevertheless, it sounds better when you set it up that way. Kansas looked great out in Vegas, Dauster, without Darren Peterson. You believe he's going to be back. Game is at 9 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN2. Not very often. Kansas is home dogs in the Fog. They will be tomorrow. UConn favored by 1.5 right now at BetMGM. How does the outlook of this game change, Rob, if I guarantee you tonight a healthy Darren Peterson is playing for Kansas tomorrow?
One, it terrifies me. 2, I know that they're trying to kind of wrap him in bubble wrap and make sure that he's 100% healthy. Bill, listen, you don't want to play him tomorrow. It's too much of a risk. The way that UConn sets those screens, you guys are going to have to sprint around and chase people around the whole game. All you're doing is risking a re-aggravation of the hamstring injury. I think he needs 48 more hours to really get like 105% healthy. That's how good, and that's how big of a difference I think Darren Peterson can make. I'm terrified at the fact that UConn is a favorite in Fog Allen Fieldhouse because that just screams to me, take Kansas and take the money line there. I don't know how Kansas guards UConn. That is going to be the most difficult thing here. The difficulty you have with matching up with UConn is Alex Caravan because of the way that they run people off of screens and because of the fact that Kansas likes to play 2 bigs together, right? Bryson Tiller chasing Alex Caravan around all of those screens that they run him off of is a really, really big ask. It sounds like Terrace Reed is a game time decision. My gut says he's probably, again, going to be on a minutes restriction, playing like 15 to 20 minutes. He was not 100% playing against Illinois. It was very clear he was not 100%. But his presence against Flory Badunga, maybe getting him in foul trouble, maybe trying to seal and just get a couple of points stolen off of being able to, create an angle and just catch him late in, will be big and will matter. But it's nerve-wracking, Henson, sitting here thinking about UConn being favored in fall. This is the Fog, man. The Fog Allen Fieldhouse. That's scary.
That's what we call a trap, Rob.
Yes.
So, it's so many injuries, right? It's Terrace Reed going to be back. I think he's so important for them as a unit, just the grit and energy and kind of strength he brings, as a starter. Is Peterson going to be back? What's that going to look like? But I will say, Kansas, it was better for not having him in. You saw all those guys start to gain confidence and spread their wings because they didn't have to defer to the best player in the country, number one draft pick. I think that's going to bode so well for them when he comes back. I think if he's back fully healthy and you can get Kansas plus a possession or two, I think you have to take that with the way UConn's been playing well. They're a little banged up. No Terrace Reed, definitely. But with Terrace Reed, I still would like Kansas with a few points. Give me the dogs. I mean, that sounds weird saying that. Give me the home dog in Fog Allen. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
The last time these two played in Fog Allen, I think it was in the 60s, right? I think it's going to be another low-scoring game tomorrow as well. So give me the under on the 141.5.
Okay.
I think didn't Tristan Newton also go off inside Fog Allen last time?
Tristan Newton had 31. They were playing without, I believe, Steph Castle.
Right.
And
they should have won that game, by the way.
They were down by 2, and Cam Spencer had an open look at a 3 with like 4 seconds left that would have put him ahead. Kansas was up huge early, and UConn found a way to be able to fight back.
Right. I think they get the job done, so I'll take UConn to win, and I'll also take the under there. So, all right.
I like the under as well.
Yeah. So that's UConn and Kansas, and then 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, or whenever the Florida and Duke game ends, North Carolina and the Fighting John Hensons will be locked in. Number 18, Kentucky at Rupp Arena. Henson, as you know, Kentucky was a big player in the recruitment process of Caleb Wilson. He's looked at home in Chapel Hill, though. How do you feel about your Heels heading into this one?
Going to be a tough matchup. I do the Carolina pod every week. I preview every game. I watch every game, so I'm super well versed. I like the fact that Kentucky isn't the most physical team, and they're missing Lowe as well. But they're a wounded dog. Like they don't have any.
You might be without Diabate too at the 4. It sounds like Diabate is going to be missing too.
Jeez.
So I didn't know that, and I was going to say like Carolina plus 6.5. Like do I have a hammer here? Do I bring out the hammer? Like where's my hammer at? Like just slam that 6.5. Like when I saw the line, it kind of like threw me back a little bit. Kentucky's not necessarily a juggernaut, and neither is Carolina per se. But I think you're giving me a 3 possession game. I got to go Carolina. It's going to be tough to win. Rupp is the loudest place I've ever played in. Couldn't even hear myself think. We had to make up hand signals. AD blocked my shot for the game winner. I cried in the locker room. I have bad memories there. So, hopefully Carolina can play well. I don't know about the win, but I do love the points.
Yeah, that's too many points, right? 6.5 is too many points. KenPom has it as 10 points. That is way too many points. I feel like the metrics are underrating Carolina right now. The big thing for me, and I think the real X factor here, Henson, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is keeping Henry Visar out of foul trouble. Like the drop off for Carolina.
They're terrible. They're terrible.
When Visar's gone, is like it's. I think you have to, and Hubert's got a bad habit of. And it's not just him. A lot of coaches do this, but like you get 2 fouls in the first half and his auto bench. And I hate that, especially when you got a veteran 5, man. Like you got to kind of trust him a little bit because the drop off without him is massive. I don't know if Kentucky necessarily has the pieces to be able to get him into foul trouble. But if I'm Mark Pope, that's what I'm trying to do. Let's get a couple. Let's get Otega Owe going downhill and trying to jump into Visar and draw a foul or 2. Let's find a way to be able to get the ball into, I don't know, like Malachi Moreno in the post and see if he can't draw a foul on somebody. Because I think that's what you have to be able to do to be able to beat this North Carolina team.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Go ahead, Henson.
No, they're -6 without him on the court. They're plus 38 with him on the court. It changed the Michigan State game. As soon as he went out, Michigan State kind of took control of that game. So he's got to understand that. If I could get there to just chat with him, because I am a Carolina big, I'll see him one of these days. But you've got to understand, if you cannot get into foul trouble, you got to let some things go. You may have to let some possessions not be as aggressive defensively. Even with Michigan State, when he was trying to box out and do certain things, like, look, you have to understand the value you have on the court. And so I don't know if that's being talked about internally with Coach Davis or who he talks to about basketball, but someone has to tell Henry Visar that without you on the court, we are not very good. And it's unfortunate, but that is what it is. We saw that kind of when Hubert had to play Baycode and all those guys 35 minutes a game on that run to the championship. I think it's going to have to be similar type of minute kind of disposition this year with that team, because off the bench, they don't really have much. And that's when Michigan State's depth took over. And that's what's going to happen throughout this year if those guys can't play or they get in foul trouble. So he stays out of foul trouble. Kentucky doesn't necessarily have a guy that's going to attack him like that. I don't know the freshman kid's name, but he's really good. He's kind of their hub for their offense. And
Malachi Moreno.
Yeah, Moreno. Yeah, he's underrated as well, but I think he's going to have a hard time with Visar.
Here's the biggest issue that I think Kentucky has tomorrow night is with Mo Diabate out. I don't know what you do with Caleb Wilson, right? Mo Diabate is the one guy that is big, that is also mobile, right? You got a lot of big guys on this team. Malachi Moreno is 7 foot. You got Andre Yelovich, who's 6'11". You got Brandon Garrison, who's 6'10". And then you got a lot of guys that can guard, right? Like I think Jasper Johnson, Otega Owe in theory should be a good defender. Colin Chandler, 6'5" and athletic, right? But you don't have anyone that's 6'10" that can deal with someone that can do the stuff that Caleb Wilson can do on the perimeter, that can do the stuff that Caleb Wilson can do when he's driving to the rim outside of Diabate. And I think that's going to be a really, really big problem for this Kentucky team. And Diabate is what he is. I get a little frustrated watching them play with the freedom that he has to be able to shoot, but he is a very useful and valuable piece because of what he brings defensively. And not having him out there is going to be, I think, a significant issue for Kentucky, because I just don't know what you do with Caleb. Like Caleb Wilson looks like a guy that's going to end up being a top 5 pick. And because of his size, he's like such a matchup problem. And Kentucky does not. Honest question: if you are Kentucky, Henson, what do you do? Do you put Owe on him and just climb up underneath him and be physical and be strong and kind of take away his leverage? Do you put Brandon Garrison on him and hope that he can chase him around on the perimeter? I don't know what you do.
Yeah, I mean, he leads the country in dunks, which is insanely impressive, being that he's not a bruising center. And I think that the respect early Coach Izzo showed by they damn near was double teaming him when he caught it on the mid post. For a college team to double you on the mid post early, I thought that was super impressive. And then they kind of backed off once they got a little lead and they realized, okay, look, he's not big fella can handle him, right? So the respect that I saw Coach Izzo give him initially to start the game, I was like, wow, this kid's good, and he showed it. He made some moves, some rip throughs, baselines. It was just, I mean, he's kind of like flexible. He kind of like he's really good, man. I can't. He's a top 5 pick, man. When I was watching him play, he kind of plays at a different level, kind of like than the other players on the court, like the way he jumps and runs and dunks. So it's going to be a tough matchup. For Kentucky. But I like I said, I love the 6.5. I don't think it'll be there by the time the game starts tomorrow. No way.
I think gun to head real quick. I'm sorry, Sam. Gun to head. I think what ends up happening is that Cam Williams starts on him. But Cam Williams, the knock on him is the issues defensively. And if you're relying on Cam Williams to try to shut down Caleb Wilson, that is the kind of matchup that I would want to fade if I was, and I am, a betting man.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the shooters. I mean, I think you started Caleb Wilson. You started Caleb Wilson. I can't remember what game where he struggled early when they were double teaming. He was thrown all over the place. That might be the formula to start games off and then see how everybody reacts.
Yeah. Kentucky just under a touchdown favorite there. at home. Henson's going to move the line himself by the time this game tips. I still just can't get it out of my head, the sheer befuddlement of Mark Pope after the loss to Michigan State in the Garden 2 weeks ago. Okay, they beat the brakes off Loyola Maryland and Tennessee Tech, but this is the first time we're going to see Kentucky in, I'm not going to say a must-win game, Rob. I mean, again, we're like, we're at the end of November, early December, so nothing is truly, by definition, must-win. But you've already lost 2 big games, one to your rival in Louisville, and then again to Michigan State. If they don't win tomorrow, at least the perception of this Kentucky team, even with the injuries, I get it, changes, I think, a little bit. Put it this way. If Kentucky loses to North Carolina, their best win on their resume through the first month of the season is going to be a 50-point win over a 5-2 Valparaiso, who ranks 208th at KenPom right now. Like that's a little bit concerning to me.
And I think also, Carolina, I think they need to get 2 out of these next 3. They need to beat Kentucky and Georgetown. That's the last really opportunity they're going to have besides Ohio State before they start ACC play. And coming up against ACC play, you got Florida State, SMU, Wake Forest, Stanford, Cal, Notre Dame. Like they're probably going to start off pretty well in the ACC play. So if they don't kind of get another high quality win, we might be having these conversations again next year. Like, hey, what have they done? I don't think there'll be a bubble team this year, but this is
they're better than a bubble team, Henson. For sure. They're better than a bubble team.
But I'm just saying, they got 1 quad win. They beat Kansas at their place, and they'll have opportunities to beat the Dukes and those type of teams. But they need to win this. They need to win this as well. So I think it's a must win for both teams in this early season. Early must win.
Last note, one thing real quick on Kentucky. I don't know if they have to win. You have to have an impressive performance because like the way that the tide has turned after the start at Louisville and after how kind of just soft. I don't want to say soft, but like they never had a chance against Michigan State. Lackluster. Like there has to be a level of energy, a level of desire. I think Kentucky, the players, need to make it look like they care as much as the fans care. Win or lose, like you can talk through a loss. You're missing 3 starters, right? No Diabate, no Jaden Quaintance, no Jalen Love, right? It's very easy to talk through why you lost, and it's very understandable why you lost. The guys on the court have to look like they give a damn. And as long as you do that, you play a good game, you're in there throwing punches till the end, I think that fans can get behind that. But once you start losing that fan base, you don't want that to happen.
We've already seen that happen.
The money spent's good up in Lexington, man. They need to go back to their dorms over there on campus where Coach Cal had them boys. Security at the front. They need to go back to the trenches.
We have seen that fan base turn there in Lexington before. It is not pretty. All right. For those who are still with us here in this early Tuesday morning hour in the chat, please hit us up. We're going to get to some of your questions, comments, and concerns in the afters. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. Rob Dauster, John Henson, I am Sam Ravech. Stick around. We will see you in the afters on the other side.
These my DJ Burn shades I had for. That was like taking them into the depths of Alaska and just dropping them off.
The first person that's gonna die has got to be one of the black guys. They're not gonna make it to the end of the movie.
That's like asking somebody, do they want to get a prostate exam or a damn gunshot wound?
All right. Welcome to the afters here, Field 68 After Dark. Dagan, what do we got today? Because do we want to do our toast or we want to get straight to the afters? Because I feel like there may be some overlap here.
Let's do the toast at the end. We can do a little bit of overlap at the end. That's fine. So wasn't a lot of games today, fellas. But we did have one game I think we need to hit on. Bowling Green took down Kansas State in a pretty convincing win. So your thoughts on the Wildcats and kind of what you're seeing from this game?
That was going to be my toast of the night. See, there's the overlap right there. Yeah. Maybe we declared Kansas State back a little bit too early. And Hey, I mean, shout out Bowling Green, 27 points for Sam Towns. Congrats to the Falcons. But yeah, the Octagon of Doom, the Octagon of Gloom here once again tonight, Rob. But any thoughts on this one?
I see what you did there. PJ Haggerty was 6 for 19 from the floor. And that's not going to win you a lot of games. This Kansas State team is not built to be able to be an elite defensive team. They're built to be able to. They run out their 4 guards with Kamari McGriff at the 5 spot. They're built to score. They're built to run up some points. They shot 39%. They were 6 for 23 from 3. That's just not going to get it done. And I will say that Kansas State pulled a player off of Bowling Green's roster in the portal, Marcus Johnson, who played his first game and saw his first minutes tonight. Might be my favorite player in college basketball. He's like 6'7", 290, and is a 2-guard who's got all the step backs and all the moves. And hopefully he can get healthy because he's going to be a lot of fun to watch as it moves forward here. But, shout out to Bowling Green, man. Todd Simon's building something there. They had a chance to win. They had the roster to win the MAC last year, and they were so beat up. They got a kid named Javante Campbell, who was their point guard. He had 17, 6, and 5 tonight. He was playing with 2 broken hands last year, Henson. He broke one hand, played through it, then broke the other hand and tried to play through it because they were so banged up. They just didn't have the bodies. That team is tough. They've been through some wars. They're healthy now. And it's starting to pay off here a little bit for them.
Yeah, I think this has been a theme with Kansas State. Like, you look at them on paper and you're like, wow, take my money. You guys look really good. And then the on-court performance does not add up to what you're seeing, on the paper. And that's the beautiful thing about basketball. It doesn't matter how good you look, it's how good you play. So, with Haggerty and Bashir Jr., I thought those guys would kind of right the ship for Kansas State, but it doesn't seem to be meshing well. So Coach Tain's got to figure out what, his message. And, he had a good run his first year at Kansas State. He needs to kind of get back to those ways or find those type of players, right? Maybe it's just the message is not delivering. Or maybe Haggerty is just shooting all the balls and they're dying on their shield.
This was wire to wire, by the way. This was a wire to wire win for the Falcons. So this was impressive stuff. All right, Dig, what else we got?
All right, fellas. One thing we didn't get to in this show that I think we wanted to hit on was the net rankings came out today. So just kind of your thoughts on the net, maybe some of the different leagues, kind of where they sit, things like that. Just your initial thoughts.
You want me to go first?
Yes,
I'll go
please.
first. You cannot pay me enough money to care about what the net rankings are.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, I don't know. Yeah.
It's hard enough for myself to be able to convince myself that the KenPom ratings are something that we should be paying attention to right now. I understand why they released it this early. I get it. I think that the metric has been able to be tweaked enough where it's not quite as egregious, like the outliers that you saw in the first couple of years, especially coming out of COVID. But this is still something where you need more data points, and you need to be able to have less of a small sample size for it to really matter at this point. So I think that it's useful to kind of look at big picture, but if you're diving into like the nitty gritty of some of this stuff right now, it's probably what it'll tell you right now is who's really, really good. Right. And I think they're right about who kind of a couple of these teams at the top of the country is, and it'll tell you who's not good. And it says that a lot of the teams in the Big East are not good. And I think that that's pretty accurate. But when you kind of break it down on like beyond that, there's only so much that you could take out of it at this point.
I got nothing for you on the net. I mean, I understand the metric why it's used, but I'll look at the net once the calendar turns to 2026. Henson, anything?
I don't really pay much attention, but I do like the quad 1, quad 2, 3, and 3 kind of wins category. That is interesting to me because I do feel like that correlates a little bit to how good you are per se. And so, when I'm looking kind of down the list, right, certain teams need quad 1 wins. But that's the only thing I really look at. I think that is something that's interesting the quad 1 and 2 and 3 type thing. But other than that, yeah, I didn't even look at the numbers. I just looked at the team and kind of quad records.
Henson, it was on the rundown. This was the most important thing in your night.
Yeah, I didn't even look. I looked at the quad. I looked at. Hey, look, man. Look, maybe they'll clean it up and it'll be something we care about. Who knows?
Can I just say also, I have an issue with how easy it is to kind of game the net, right? And I think what we're seeing right now is the way that this metric is set up. It rewards playing the two polar ends of college basketball, right?
Right.
You either want to play the absolute best teams, the top 10, 15, 20 teams, or you want to play the 20 worst teams and beat them by 40. And I don't think that is a healthy thing for college basketball, because what you're going to end up doing is eliminating those teams in the middle from being able to have opportunities. And I think the best part of this sport, the thing that draws everybody in, right? The thing that gets a lot of the eyeballs, the thing that creates some of those national storylines and ways to be able to attract an audience beyond just the people that love college sports, are the mid-majors that make runs in March. And if you are creating, like, George Mason made it to the Final Four in 2006 as an at-large. I don't think George Mason is going to get the opportunities to make themselves be an at-large the way that college basketball is in 2025 and 2026. Same thing for VCU in 2011 when they made the Final Four, right? They were an at-large. And I don't think that the VCUs of the world are in a position to be able to get at-larges the way that they did in recent years. So that is the one thing that I want to see change with the net, is fix the formula so that it doesn't reward playing top 10 teams and bottom 10 teams. Find a way to be able to incentivize giving the teams in that 70 to 100 range, giving the best mid-major teams opportunities. Make it so losing the high point at home, even losing the high point on the road, is not something that is going to hurt you. Make it so that that's something that rewards you. And until the net has that in the formula, then it's always going to be a flawed system, in my opinion.
Rob, you running for commissioner, by the way? Are you running for commissioner of college basketball?
I mean,
You got my
talk
vote.
about it. Vanderbilt's top 5. Like, I love what they're doing, but top 5? Like, you know what I'm saying? They beat VCU, St. Mary's. Yeah, I love that for them. But, yeah, so, like, that's – hey, you got to game the system sometimes, Rob. You know what I'm saying? Loopholes are loopholes for a reason.
Hey, ask Lane Kiffin. He knows all about loopholes.
Oh, boy.
Lane should have been the first thing smoking for 90 mil. Come on now.
All right, we'll move off the net. We'll move off. But my favorite of that was our Yale Bulldogs coming in number 25 in the net.
Hell yeah. Go Eli's, baby. New Haven's finest.
Bulldogs. All right, we do have a chat question here from Stormy Cyclone on this Overreaction Monday. Is it a stretch that the Big 12 gets at least 10 in the tournament?
At least?
That's what it says.
All right, let's look at it. Iowa State, yes.
Well,
Houston, yes. Arizona, yes. BYU, yes. Kansas, yes. Texas Tech, yes. That's 6, right? Then you go past that. Baylor would have to make it. TCU would have to make it.
Cincinnati's
tough. Then Oklahoma State, Colorado, West Virginia.
No way, not 10.
Think about some of the early wins that they have. Utah had a big win. I forget who it was against. Colorado had a pretty decent win.
Colorado might be good. Colorado might. The one thing I will say is that Tad Boyle knows how to be able to coach, right? And they found some gems. They got a point guard named Isaiah Johnson who's pretty good. Oklahoma State looks like they're better. 10 is a lot. I think that 10 is probably the max of what they would get. I would set the over-under at 8.5. Does that sound about right?
I'd give 8.5.
That sounds like a tough one to take.
Not 10. Not 10.
9.5. Give me the under. 8.5, and I think that you got a pretty
I'm
tough
with
line.
you.
7.5. Give me the over.
TCU has a pretty big blemish on the resume from.
Hey, put some respect on New Orleans' name. That's Masterpiece
I'm a mid-major
program.
guy. I'm a mid-major
That
guy.
is Masterpiece
Mid-major show
program.
every Thursday.
They can
Check
say,
it out.
That's right.
I got one last one for you guys. We can do it quickly.
That was good.
One overreaction we didn't get to. I need to get Henson's reaction on this one because I know how much those North Carolina guys love NC State.
I know where this is going.
The overreaction that we have here is the Wolfpack were the most disappointing team of Feast Week, going 1-2 at Maui.
I think I talked about this, right? Like, I love Will Wade and what he's got going on, but you can't put lipstick on a pig and call it pretty. Like, it is what it is. I think NC State's going to be fine. When I looked at their team, I think that they need to be more together. I feel like there's no real kind of cohesion, chemistry, defensively or offensively. You could tell they're a brand new team with a lot of guys that want to get in their bag. And so I think that hurts them a little bit. Coach Wade also said, hey, look, I need guys out there with an edge. So when I hear that, and he said it's on me to give those guys that, I hear there's no leader. There's no guy in the locker room that's going to be that voice. You would think Quadir Copeland could be that guy because he is more vocal, as you see on the court, but he's also not their best player. So, is Darren Williams going to kind of step in there and hold everyone accountable and people to do their roles? I think if they get everybody to come together cohesively as a unit, they'll be fine. If not, it's going to be a long year. And, we crowned them, I think me and Jeff have a bet, right? Top 4 in the ACC. Is that me and Jeff's bet? Like, right now, it's looking real good for me.
Hold on. You have a bet with Goodman for top 4 in the ACC for NC State?
So, yeah, I think I have it with Goodman where if they finish top 4, I have to put a picture of him I have to put a picture of right here. And if they do, he's got to put a picture of me in his background. So we'll see what happens.
Yes. Hey, look, start picking out that picture, Henson.
Who gets to pick the picture? That's my question.
I gotta figure out something good, but yeah, like right now, you got the option.
Yeah, I bet. All right, Dagan, is that it? We got anything else? Anyone else? All right. Well, I my toast was the Falcons of Bowling Green going into the octagon, doing what they did. Anyone else? Rob, you got a toast for tonight?
Yeah, I do have a toast. I'm going to go with it's Incarnate Word and specifically Davion Bailey. Davion Bailey is a kid from Indianapolis that transferred to Incarnate Word last year, stayed with the program, is averaging over 20 points a game. He's one of the best guards in that conference, and he had the opportunity to leave, and he decided not to leave. He averaged 17 points a game last year. He had 29 tonight, 29 and 5 assists as Incarnate Word in the first game of the Southland season, knocked off the preseason favorites, McNeese State, 71-67. Davion Bailey had 29 points. Great kid. We talked to him at Southland Media Day. Incarnate Word, man, they got a chance to be able to make a little bit of noise. They got some talent on that roster. The Southland's going to be a lot of fun this year.
I don't have much. Tonight was a little slow, but I will say shout out to my guy Wes Miller. He got a win against Tarleton State. Not really a toast, but showing him some love.
Slow night. There was no ranked matchups tonight, but tomorrow we're all no ranked teams. Yeah,
no good net matchups tonight. No,
the net can wait, man.
That's got some good ones tomorrow. So
we'll see what the net has in store tomorrow after we see some good matchups.
Hey, we got to make a prediction on Iowa. We had McCollum on tonight. Can Iowa go in and beat Michigan State? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think they can. Yeah, I think they could.
I don't know, man. The Breslin Center is a different animal, man. It's a different animal. I don't think they go in there. What's the line? 5.5?
6.5.
I like the
5.5.
points.
5.5. You're right. 5.5. Sorry.
I do like the point. I do like the points. I think Iowa, like I said, McCollum's death by 1,000 cuts, man. I would hate to play against a team like that. Like, that would be so annoying. So I like the points, but I think Michigan wins this, man. Michigan, I was highly impressed when I saw them in person, man. Highly impressed.
Styles make fights, man. This is a good style battle here.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think that Bennett Sturts is good enough to be able to control the tempo. What Iowa is going to want to do is try to turn this into a 55 possession game, right? I think taking the points probably makes the most sense because I think it's more likely that this ends up being a 1 or 2 possession game than anything else. I do like the under 2 because I would not be surprised. Like first conference game, everyone's trying to fill each other out. Would you be surprised if it ended up being 62-50?
Yeah.
But that's
Exactly.
kind of what I think it's going to end up being. I think Iowa's got a chance just because they're going to have the best player on the floor, and that always gives you a chance. But your first Big Ten game going on the road to the Breslin Center against a team playing their best. You have one of the best defenders in college basketball going up against your starting point guard and Jeremy Fears. That's a big ask. So I would probably lean towards I like the under more than the points, but I would take the under in the points personally.
I'm going to do a BetMGM Field of 68 parlay tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. I'm writing everything down. So,
What do you got? What do we got? I can't even remember what it is. So we got Florida.
We got under Iowa State. Iowa Michigan State under. We got Florida. Y'all consensus Duke. I'm gonna take Duke. It was 2 out of 3. We like Carolina with the points. We also like the under for the Duke UF. I believe that's.
So I think I'm gonna go. I think let's do the under on that one.
Okay, so we'll do the under on that one.
Under Iowa Michigan State.
Okay, under Iowa Michigan State.
Under Florida.
Take Carolina with the points.
Carolina with
the points. And we have one more team.
Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it, Henson. Don't make me do it. All right, fine.
Rob, you wouldn't hedge. You wouldn't hedge this. This wouldn't be an emotional hedge for you.
We got to rock chalk the home dog. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I think we have to. Do you know how little I'm looking forward?
Good.
Do you know how little I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's show if UConn loses? I got to deal with Goodman and 2 Kansas guys.
It's going to be great. It's going to be good. That's going to be great. UConn won't lose. They're not going to lose.
I'm going to need Dan Hurley to come through for me. I'm going to need Dan Hurley to come through.
That's a juicy parlay right there. Kansas money line. I like that.
All right, I'm in. I'll ride.
All right, we'll see what happens. Should be a good one. Enjoy the hoops tomorrow. We will either have a very jubilant Rob Dauster or a very morose Rob Dauster tomorrow night on the After Dark. Appreciate it, y'all. Enjoy the games.